Story 1 of 50. Australian Matildas squad selection for FIFA Series in Kenya with key absences and World Cup preparations. Australian Matildas squad selection for FIFA Series in Kenya with key absences and World Cup preparations. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Sam Kerr is named captain of the 22-player Matildas squad for the FIFA Series in Kenya. The Matildas will play Malawi, FIFA ranking 153, on April 11 in Nairobi, followed by either Kenya, ranking 134, or India, ranking 67, on April 15. Mary Fowler, Ellie Carpenter, Kyra Cooneycross, and Katrina Gorey are notable absences from the squad. The squad includes stars like Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley, Mackenzie Arnold, Hayley Rosso, Alana Kennedy, and Claire Wheeler. Letitia McKenna makes her Matildas squad debut, while Jessica Nash and Isabel Gomez return after being left out of the Asian Cup. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions Mary Fowler made it through the Asian Cup unscathed after recovering from an ACL tear, but The Guardian does not mention Fowler's ACL recovery or her physical condition during the tournament. ABC attributes Ellie Carpenter's absence to a general statement about several Australian stars not playing, while The Guardian does not specify Carpenter's reason beyond being an omission. ABC includes AAP, Dean Lewins and AAP, Richard Wainwright as attributions for specific details, while The Guardian does not reference AAP or other specific attributions. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 2 of 50. U.S. government shutdown over DHS funding dispute and immigration enforcement. U.S. government shutdown over DHS funding dispute and immigration enforcement. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has been without funding since mid-February 2024 after Democrats refused to approve appropriations without new guardrails on federal immigration enforcement agents. The Senate passed a compromise measure funding most of DHS, excluding ICE and parts of CBP, on the 15th of March, 2024, but the House rejected it in favor of a 60-day funding bill for all DHS. House Republicans initially passed a 60-day funding bill for all DHS on the 21st of March, 2024, which Senate Democrats blocked via filibuster. Republican leaders Mike Johnson, House Speaker, and John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, agreed on the 27th of March, 2024 to advance the Senate's DHS funding bill, excluding ICE-CBP, and abandon the 60-day bill. The partial shutdown caused security lines at airports to stretch for hours in March 2024 due to TSA agents going weeks without pay, though lines shortened after Trump signed an executive order on the 22nd of March, 2024 to backpay TSA employees. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the House's pro forma session on the 28th of March, 2024 lasted just under 3 minutes and did not take up the Senate's DHS bill, while Article 2 does not mention the duration or outcome of the House's pro forma session. Article 1 implies the House's rejection of the Senate bill was unanimous due to no lawmakers objecting, but Article 2 does not specify whether objections were unanimous or merely absent. Article 1 highlights Trump's executive order backpaying TSA employees as a direct cause for shortened airport lines, while Article 2 attributes the easing of lines to TSA employees quitting or calling out after weeks without pay, without mentioning Trump's order. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 3 of 50. 2 NSW teenagers arrested over alleged extremist material and terror probe in Moree. 2 NSW teenagers arrested over alleged extremist material and terror probe in Moree. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 2 teenagers, a 15-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy, from Moree, NSW, were arrested in March 2024 over alleged extremist material. The investigation began in December 2023 after reports that a teenager accessed extremist material online. Police raided a home in Moree on the 27th of March, 2024, seizing a mobile phone, a ballistic-style vest, and several notebooks. The 15-year-old was charged with using a carriage service to transmit violent extremist material and knowingly collecting or making a document connected with terrorism. The The 16-year-old was charged with using a carriage service to possess violent extremist material. But not all outlets told the same story. News Khao states the initial raid occurred late in March without specifying the exact date, while Guardian clarifies it was on the 27th of March. News Khao mentions a small rural round, likely a typo for town, while Guardian does not reference this term. News Khao does not specify the exact time of the 28th of March raids, while Guardian implies they occurred on Thursday, the 28th of March, without a time. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Story 4 of 50. Australian study links vaping to lung and oral cancer risk. Australian study links vaping to lung and oral cancer risk. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A new Australian review led by researchers from the University of New South Wales, UNSW, found nicotine-containing vapes are likely to cause lung and oral cancers, published between 2017 and 2025. The review analysed mouse studies, human biomarker studies, oxidative stress, epigenetic change, inflammation, and case reports, including a 19-year-old man with oral cancer after extensive vaping. Australia's federal government strengthened vaping legislation in 2024 to restrict sales to pharmacies for smoking cessation or nicotine dependence management only. Black market vapes in Australia often contain nicotine despite labels claiming otherwise, according to Alexander Larcombe of Curtin University. The study was published in the journal Carcinogenesis and co-authored by Bernard Stewart and Freddie Seeters, both from UNSW. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC notes Dr. Stewart called vapes likely to cause cancer but acknowledged no epidemiological proof yet, while The Guardian frames the review as providing strong evidence of carcinogenic changes without requiring long-term epidemiological data. The Guardian's Stephen Duffy downplayed direct comparisons between vaping and smoking harm, stating vaping lacks combustion products, whereas ABC's experts, Larcombe, Edwards, broadly agreed vaping is harmful and addictive regardless of nicotine content. ABC highlights dual-use limbo where vapers often continue smoking, while The Guardian does not explicitly discuss this phenomenon in its summary of the review's findings. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 5 of 50. Trump appoints JD Vance as fraud czar and targets Democratic states for alleged fraud crackdowns. Trump appoints JD Vance as fraud czar and targets Democratic states for alleged fraud crackdowns. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump appointed JD Vance as his fraud czar to lead a crackdown on alleged fraud in Democratic states, announced on the 4th of April, 2024. Federal officials announced 8 arrests in California on the 4th of April, 2024 for over $50 million in alleged Medicare healthcare fraud tied to sham hospice care facilities. The accused in California included healthcare professionals such as nurses and a psychologist, operating in Southern California. The arrests were part of Operation Never Say Die led by the FBI and Department of Justice, targeting hospice fraud. O'Keel Davis, assistant director at the FBI, stated the Southern California region loses hundreds of billions of dollars annually to healthcare fraud. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Trump claims there is more fraud in California than in Minnesota, but Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz denies fraud allegations entirely. Trump's administration alleges widespread healthcare fraud in California, while California's Governor Gavin Newsom attributes fraud to federal programs and states the Trump administration is trying to blame California for issues with their federal programs. Tim Walz states Trump's DOJ is gutting the U.S. Attorney's Office and crippling their ability to prosecute fraud, contradicting the reported federal arrests in California. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 6 of 50. Fuel crisis impacts Australian tourism and travel plans ahead of Easter 2025. Fuel crisis impacts Australian tourism and travel plans ahead of Easter 2025. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Southern Queensland tourism operators report booking cancellations due to rising fuel prices, with some losing thousands, ABC Article 1. Paradise Resort, Drop Bear Adventures, ABC Article 2, Reflections Holidays, Murrurundi Caravan Park. Fuel prices in K'gari, Fraser Island, reached $4.25 per litre, among the highest in Queensland, ABC Article 1. The federal government announced a cut to the fuel excise to help curb rising fuel costs, ABC Article 1 and ABC Article 2. Tourism Research Australia reported a $2.3 billion drop in overnight visitor spending nationally in the year to December 2025, with Queensland losing $379 million, ABC Article 2. Regional operators are offering fuel offset vouchers, ABC Article 1. Aussie World, ABC Article 2, Reflections Holidays. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC Article 1 states fuel prices on K'gari reached $4.25 per litre, while ABC Article 2 does not mention this specific price point. ABC Article 1 reports some tourism businesses in southern Queensland are still expecting strong Easter bookings, e.g., North Stradbroke Island, Gold Coast Airport, but ABC Article 2 does not mention this positive trend. ABC Article 1 claims fuel availability is not an issue, Dr. Ian Jeffries, RACQ, but ABC Article 2 states hundreds of service stations across the country have been impacted by fuel shortages. This story was covered by ABC News. Story 7 of 50. ABC staff strike and new pay offer negotiations after 24-hour walkout. ABC staff strike and new pay offer negotiations after 24-hour walkout. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The ABC experienced a 24-hour strike last week, the first in 2 decades, involving over 1,000 journalists and staff, ABC, 1000 plus, News Khao, -2000. ABC Managing Director Hugh Marks met with MEAA and CPSU delegates at a Fair Work Commission-mediated session this week. The updated pay offer includes a 4% annual pay increase in the first year, 3.25% in the second and third years, with back pay from October 1, 2025. The new agreement proposes clearer progression pathways between pay bandings, targeted performance bonuses, and enhanced leave entitlements. The ABC has roughly 4,500 staff, ABC only. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports over 1,000 staff walked out, while News Khao states about 2,000 staff participated in the strike. ABC states the previous rejected offer included a 3.5% pay rise in the first year, but News Khao does not mention this detail. ABC mentions the ABC broadcast BBC content on the 24-hour news service during the strike, while News Khao only states BBC content was broadcast but does not specify the channel. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 8 of 50. Review of JW Marriott Khao Lak Resort and Spa in Thailand. Review of JW Marriott Khao Lak Resort and Spa in Thailand. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The resort is named JW Marriott Khao Lak Resort and Spa. It has 424 rooms and villas, with a recent addition of 127 rooms and villas following a major redevelopment. The resort features 6 distinct accommodation wings connected by extensive waterways. Signature restaurants include Olive, Italian, Thai, Thai, Sakura, Japanese, and Drift, Mediterranean and Middle Eastern. Deluxe rooms start at $253 per night. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 9 of 50. Legal battle over suppression of Bondi gunmen's family identities. Legal battle over suppression of Bondi gunmen's family identities. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Naved Akram, 24, is charged with 59 offences including 15 counts of murder, 40 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of terrorism over the Chinooka by the Sea shooting on December 14, 2023, which killed 15 people and injured dozens. Akram's father, Sajid Akram, 50, was shot dead by police at the scene of the attack. Judge Hugh Donnelly ruled against Akram's application for suppression orders on the identities of his mother, brother, and sister, stating the information was already in the public domain due to the posting of Akram's driver's license online on the night of the attack. Akram's family claimed they faced harassment including death threats, vandalism, e.g., urine thrown into their yard, food left at their door, and repeated visits by groups of men to their Bonnyrigg home in Western Sydney. The court heard Akram's mother gave an interview to the Sydney Morning Herald, 9, and his brother was identified in a story about visiting Goulburn jail. But not all outlets told the same story. News Khao states Akram's license was posted on social media on the night of the shooting while the ABC and Guardian do not specify this exact timing, only that it was posted shortly after or in the hours after. The Guardian says the interim suppression order was granted in early March but News Khao and ABC do not provide this specific date and instead focus on the March 17 hearing. News Khao mentions Judge Donnelly's exact phrase unprecedented public interest, outrage, anger, and grief, while The Guardian and ABC paraphrase this without quoting it verbatim. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 10 of 50. Westpac CEO warns of Australian recession risks amid inflation and geopolitical tensions. Westpac CEO warns of Australian recession risks amid inflation and geopolitical tensions. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Miller, CEO of Westpac, warned in interviews with ABC's That's Business podcast that there is a chance of a recession for Australia due to inflationary pressures and geopolitical tensions, specifically citing Middle East conflicts. Australia's inflation rose 3.7% in February 2026, down 0.1% from January, but remains above the Reserve Bank of Australia's (RBA) target band of 2 to 3%. The RBA has raised interest rates twice in 2026, most recently to 4.1% from 3.85% in March 2026, with Westpac's chief economist Lucy Ellis forecasting 3 more hikes by August 2026. The median house price in Australia is $933,137, significantly above the $600,000 to $650,000 range affordable on a median income of $90,000 to $95,000. Australians lost $2.18 billion to scams in 2025, with investment scams accounting for $837.7 million and payment redirection scams for $166.8 million, per the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Westpac's chief economist Lucy Ellis forecasts 3 more rate hikes by August 2026, while News Khao does not explicitly state this forecast but focuses on market expectations of further tightening without a specific number. ABC cites Miller stating a single additional rate hike would return the cash rate to 4.35%, but News Khao does not mention this specific rate target. ABC attributes the February inflation figure of 3.7% to a 0.1% drop from January, while News Khao does not reference the month-over-month change in detail. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 11 of 50. Victorian government expands device ban in schools to include smartwatches and headphones. Victorian government expands device ban in schools to include smartwatches and headphones. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Victorian government will extend its classroom device ban to include smartwatches and headphones from January 27, 2027. Smartwatches with text message capabilities and internet connectivity will be banned in Victorian classrooms starting 2027. Mobile phones have been banned in Victorian public schools since 2020, with the policy credited with reducing distractions and improving student focus and socialization. Education Minister Ben Carroll stated the phone ban was a game changer and that 60% of children aged 7 to 12 use smartwatches, ABC and THEJ. The new policy will apply to public, Catholic, and independent schools in Victoria, ABC, News Khao, THEJ. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reported the ban would apply to Catholic and independent schools have also requested to be included under the new policy, while Thij stated the policy would be enforced through the Victorian Registration and Qualifications Authority for compliance. News Khao stated the ban would apply to public, Catholic and private schools, but ABC did not explicitly mention private schools in its phrasing. ABC mentioned 60% of children aged 7 to 12 used a smartwatch as a statistic from research, but this exact figure was not repeated in News Khao or Thij. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, and The Age. Story 12 of 50. Man charged with murdering a sex worker at Melbourne brothel in 2024. Man charged with murdering a sex worker at Melbourne brothel in 2024. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Michael James Chalmers, 36, is charged with murdering Leah Jong, known as Yuko, at the Rainbow Garden brothel on Cowper Street, Footscray, in November 2024. Leah Jong, 62, was found dead at the brothel on November 29, 2024, after allegedly being attacked on November 27, 2024. Security footage shows Chalmers allegedly grabbing Jong in a headlock, forcing her onto a bed, and leaving her motionless after 31 minutes. Chalmers pleaded not guilty to murder and was remanded in custody. His next hearing is April 16, 2025, in the Supreme Court. Magistrate Vincenzo Caltabiano committed Chalmers to stand trial on murder but dismissed charges of rape and constructive murder. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Chalmers was with Jong for 31 minutes in a bedroom, but News Khao only mentions a 2-minute conversation before the attack. ABC states prosecutors allege Jong suffered blunt force trauma injuries allegedly caused by rape, while News Khao omits this specific phrasing. ABC includes a quote from a sex worker advocacy group describing Jong's death as an open wound for the community, which News Khao does not mention. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 13 of 50. Australian court hearing on Adriana Rivas' extradition to Chile for Pinochet-era crimes. Australian court hearing on Adriana Rivas' extradition to Chile for Pinochet-era crimes. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Adriana Rivas is a Bondi nanny accused of participating in the kidnapping and torture of 7 people during Augusto Pinochet's dictatorship in Chile in the 1970s. Chile formally requested Rivas' extradition from Australia in 2014, and she has been in detention awaiting removal since 2019. A 2-day federal court hearing in the New South Wales Federal Court began on Monday, or this week, to consider her final appeal against extradition, presided over by Justice Michael Lee. Rivas worked for the Pinochet regime's secret police, National Intelligence Directorate, from 1973 to 1977 before moving to Australia in 1978. Chilean prosecutors allege Rivas was involved in kidnapping, interrogation, and disappearances of 7 victims, though she denies involvement. But not all outlets told the same story. DFAT denies any record of consular officials knowing about or assisting Rivas' 2011 breach of bail and escape to Australia, but Rivas' 2012 emails claim an official helped me all the way. No contradictions in core facts between SBS and ABC, both agree on timeline, charges, and hearing details. This story was covered by ABC News and SBS News. Story 14 of 50. NASA's Artemis II mission, first crewed lunar flyby since Apollo 17 in 1972. NASA's Artemis II mission, first crewed lunar flyby since Apollo 17 in 1972. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Artemis II launched on November 16, 2024, or equivalent date in articles, with a 2-hour window opening at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:24 p.m. British Summer Time, from Kennedy Space Center, Florida. The mission carries 4 astronauts: Reed Wiseman, Commander, Victor Glover, Pilot, Christina Koch, Mission Specialist, and Jeremy Hansen, Mission Specialist, first non-American. Christina Koch will be the first woman to fly beyond low Earth orbit, Victor Glover the first person of color, and Jeremy Hansen the first non-American to do so. The Orion spacecraft will travel farther than any human before, reaching approximately 253,000 miles, 407,418 kilometers from Earth, breaking Apollo 13's 1970 record of 248,655 miles. The mission is a 10-day flyby around the Moon, with no landing, and will test life support systems, radiation exposure, and Orion's heat shield during re-entry. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the launch was scheduled for 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Daylight Time, while Trump's Post incorrectly stated it was Eastern Standard Time. ABC states the launch window opened at 9:24 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, Australia time, while The Guardian and other sources consistently cite 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Time. The Guardian and ABC both mention minor technical issues, e.g., toilet malfunction, communication problems, but only The Guardian explicitly states the crew used contingency urine storage bags. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 15 of 50. Kieran Trippier's departure from Newcastle United and related football news. Kieran Trippier's departure from Newcastle United and related football news. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kieran Trippier will leave Newcastle United this summer when his contract expires. Trippier joined Newcastle from Atletico Madrid in January 2022 for £12 million. He made over 150 appearances for Newcastle, scoring 4 goals, and was part of the 2023 Carabao Cup winning team that defeated Liverpool at Wembley. Trippier was Eddie Howe's first signing at Newcastle and helped lead the club to 2 Champions League qualifications. Trippier stated in a club statement that he has felt most at home at Newcastle and called his time there an amazing journey. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 does not mention Trippier's exact contract expiration date beyond this summer, while Article 2 does not provide a specific date either but frames it as a confirmed departure. Article 1 does not reference Trippier's £12 million signing fee, while Article 2 does not explicitly mention the fee but focuses more on his impact post-signing. Article 1 does not include Trippier's detailed personal thanks to supporters or teammates, while Article 2 provides these quotes directly from his statement. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 16 of 50. NSW fuel price enforcement crackdown amid global supply crisis. NSW fuel price enforcement crackdown amid global supply crisis. Here's what every outlet agrees on. NSW issued 93 penalty infringement notices to fuel stations for price mismatching between Bowser prices and fuel checklistings between late March and early April 2024. The federal government halved the fuel excise in response to the Iran conflict, cutting prices by 26.3 cents per litre, with an additional 5.7c cut from GST windfall redistribution. NSW Fair Trading conducted compliance inspections across approximately 1,800, 75% of registered, fuel stations in NSW in April 2024. Fuel check daily visits surged from 8,000 to 10,000 in January 2024 to 500,000 by late March 2024, peaking at 20,000 visits per hour in April 2024. NSW Fuel Check received $2.2 million in additional government funding to improve data collection and transparency. But not all outlets told the same story. News Khao states 24 fines were issued based on intelligence for suspected price exploitation, but Guardian reports none of the NSW infringement notices were issued for price gouging. News Khao mentions a 26.3c cut from the federal excise halving plus a 5.7c cut from GST windfalls, while Guardian only references the 26.3c excise cut and a 32c total reduction, without specifying GST breakdown. Guardian claims WA increased penalties for non-compliance from $1,000 to $4,000, but this detail is not mentioned in News Khao or ABC. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 17 of 50. Global coalition discusses reopening Iran-blockaded Strait of Hormuz amid oil crisis. Global coalition discusses reopening Iran-blockaded Strait of Hormuz amid oil crisis. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Defence Minister Richard Marles confirmed Australia will participate in a virtual meeting of 35+ countries, hosted by UK, to discuss reopening the Strait of Hormuz, scheduled for late Thursday night, local time. The UK-led summit excludes the US, with UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper convening discussions focused on diplomatic and political measures to restore freedom of navigation, safety of trapped ships, and movement of vital commodities, e.g., oil, gas, fertilizer. Iran has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz since the US-Israel strikes on February 28, blocking 20% of the world's seaborne oil trade, with 2000 ships and 20,000 seafarers currently trapped, reported by Guardian, ABC, and news.com.au. Australia has deployed an E-7A Wedgetail surveillance aircraft to the UAE, contributing to regional defence efforts, as confirmed by Defence Minister Richard Marles in multiple sources, ABC, news.com.au, Guardian. The UK, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Japan, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, UAE, and Nigeria are among the 35+ countries participating in the talks, mentioned in Guardian, ABC, and news.com.au. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, news.com.au, reports Trump claimed Iran offered a ceasefire, which Iran denied, while Article 3, ABC, does not mention Trump's ceasefire claim but focuses on Iran's denial of any ceasefire offer. Article 2, Guardian, states Iran has carried out more than 25 attacks on vessels in the strait, while Article 3, ABC, does not specify the number of attacks but mentions 25 vessels passed through in the 24 hours leading up to the meeting. Article 5, Guardian, says 1000 ships are stranded, while Article 3, ABC, states 2000 ships are trapped, though both cite trapped seafarers as 20000. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 18 of 50. Affordable flight options to Europe from Australia in 2026 amid Middle East instability. Affordable flight options to Europe from Australia in 2026 amid Middle East instability. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A business-class return flight from Melbourne to London with Etihad in mid-April to early May costs $4,881, nearly $2,000 cheaper than Emirates Premium Economy for the same route and dates. Economy class fares from Melbourne to London start at $1,295 with Air China, mid-April to early May, and are comparable to 2025 prices. Sydney to Paris in early June, returning early July, costs $2,167 with Malaysia Airlines and $2,273 with Qantas. Melbourne to Rome in early September, returning late September, costs $2,599 with Qantas and $2,330 with Turkish Airlines. Return business class fares with Qantas, Singapore Airlines, Japan Airlines, ANA, or Turkish Airlines start at $12,000 for any time in the next 6 months. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources as they contain identical text. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 19 of 50. NRL legend Nathan Merritt's cancer diagnosis and South Sydney's Legacy Bell appearance. NRL legend Nathan Merritt's cancer diagnosis and South Sydney's Legacy Bell appearance. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nathan Merritt has stage 4 cancer affecting his liver and esophagus. Merritt has been given approximately 12 months to live by doctors. Merritt will ring the Legacy Bell before South Sydney's Good Friday NRL match against the Bulldogs at Accor Stadium. Merritt last attended a live NRL game at Indigenous Round 2023, Homebush Oval, against Parramatta. Campbell Graham returns from a shoulder injury to play for South Sydney on Good Friday. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomer reports Merritt scored 146 tries for South Sydney, while SMH states he scored 154 career tries, 135 for Souths. News Khao does not mention Merritt's dying wish to see Souths win a premiership, only SMH reports this. SMH describes Merritt attending the Roosters game at Allianz Stadium, watching from afar, while News Khao does not mention this. This story was covered by news.com.au and Sydney Morning Herald. Story 20 of 50. Israeli death penalty law for Palestinians sparks UN and international condemnation. Israeli death penalty law for Palestinians sparks UN and international condemnation. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Israeli Knesset passed a law on Monday allowing the death penalty for Palestinians in the occupied West Bank convicted of deadly terror attacks by military courts, with executions to occur within 90 days of sentencing. The law does not apply to Jewish extremists accused of similar crimes, creating a discriminatory two-tiered justice system. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk stated the law is patently inconsistent with Israel's international law obligations and that its application in the occupied Palestinian territory would constitute a war crime. The legislation was passed by a simple majority in military courts without requiring prosecutor requests or unanimity, and includes severe restrictions on legal consultations, video only, and visitation rights, only authorized personnel. Israel's last execution was in 1962, when Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann was hanged. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the bill was amended by a security committee before passing its first vote, while ABC does not mention any amendments. The Guardian states the law would allow executions by hanging, but ABC does not specify the method of execution. The Guardian reports that the bill was passed on Monday by the Knesset, while ABC does not explicitly state the exact day of passage beyond late on Monday. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 21 of 50. Australia's Reserve Bank bans debit credit card surcharges and caps interchange fees from October 2026. Australia's Reserve Bank bans debit credit card surcharges and caps interchange fees from October 2026. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, will ban surcharges on debit, prepaid, and credit cards, MasterCard, Visa, EFTPOS, from October 1, 2026, saving consumers $1.6 billion annually. The ban applies to all MasterCard, Visa, and EFTPOS cards except American Express, which is regulated differently as a three-party scheme without interchange fees. The RBA will lower interchange fee caps, domestic consumer credit cards from 0.8% to 0.3%, debit cards from 0.2% to 0.16%, and introduce a 1% cap for foreign-issued cards, effective April 1, 2027. The RBA estimates businesses will save $910 million annually from reduced interchange fees, with small businesses benefiting most due to their higher current fees. About 16% of Australian businesses currently surcharge card payments, with roughly one-third of hospitality businesses applying surcharges. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 6, states businesses will save $200 million annually in surcharge fees, while other sources, e.g., The Age, ABC, focus on $910 million in interchange fee savings for businesses. The Age and ABC report interchange fee caps for domestic consumer credit cards will drop from 0.8% to 0.3%, but The Guardian, Article 5, does not specify the new cap, only that fees will be lowered. The ABC quotes Brad Kelly saying small businesses cannot absorb fees and will pass costs to all customers, including cash users, while The Age and Guardian sources emphasize that only 16% of businesses surcharge and may adjust sticker prices. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 22 of 50. Fatal plane crash in Queensland's Gulf country due to tree collision and subsequent rescue complications. Fatal plane crash in Queensland's Gulf country due to tree collision and subsequent rescue complications. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Pilot Thomas Knight, 32, from Clifton Beach, Cairns, died in a MacJet International-operated King Air B200 crash near Normanton on February 6, 2026, shortly after takeoff from Normanton Airport. The aircraft struck a tree approximately 3:60 m, Article 1, or descended and collided with terrain, Article 2, about 800 m west of the runway end, then slid beneath power lines, yard right, and crashed into floodwaters 580 m beyond the runway. The plane was a Beechcraft King Air B200 operated by MacJet International, with the last automatic dependent surveillance broadcast data point showing 300 km/h ground speed and a descent rate of 1,100 feet per minute, 20 km/h, before impact. The pilot had earlier ferried 4 passengers from Cairns to Dumaji and returned to Normanton before the fatal flight back to Cairns. The ATSB preliminary report states the aircraft impacted the ground in a wings-level attitude and broke up before coming to rest in floodwaters, with no critical safety findings yet identified. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the aircraft climbed to a maximum of about 150 feet 46 meters after takeoff, while Article 2 reports a maximum climb of about 46 meters, 150 feet. Article 1 mentions the aircraft was 10 m from the crash site at its last data point, while Article 2 does not specify this distance. Article 1 notes the pilot was returning to Cairns shortly after 7:45 p.m., but Article 2 does not provide a specific time for the fatal flight. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 23 of 50. US President Trump's escalating tensions with NATO allies over Iran war and Australia's response. US President Trump's escalating tensions with NATO allies over Iran war and Australia's response. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump publicly criticized Australia for not offering military support in the Strait of Hormuz standoff, stating he was surprised by the lack of involvement. Trump threatened to never forget which NATO allies helped or did not help in the Gulf crisis, targeting Australia and the UK, Keir Starmer, specifically. Anthony Albanese, Australia's PM, avoided direct criticism of Trump's actions, instead emphasizing Australia's rules-based order and avoiding military escalation. Trump suggested the US may withdraw from NATO, stating we don't need people that join wars after we've won. The Strait of Hormuz is the focal point of the crisis, with Iran controlling access to global oil shipments. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Trump's bluster and bullying are not cutting through, while Article 2 claims Trump's grand tantrum is chilling Australian leaders but does not explicitly say it is failing. Article 1 suggests Australia is keeping its head down and sticking with the crowd, while Article 2 implies Australia's recent calls for de-escalation are a vague tonal shift and insufficient. Article 1 frames Albanese's response as word salads and circumlocutions, while Article 2 describes Albanese's address as steering well clear of criticizing Trump but not outright negative. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 24 of 50. 13-year-old girl charged in Melbourne anti-Semitic crime spree involving stolen vehicles and assaults. 13-year-old girl charged in Melbourne anti-Semitic crime spree involving stolen vehicles and assaults. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 13-year-old girl from the Bayside area was charged with 52 offences including reckless conduct endangering serious injury, multiple thefts, and threatening physical harm based on a protected attribute, anti-Semitism. The girl allegedly drove a stolen black Hyundai sedan in Hampton, Riponlia, and Caulfield over multiple days last week, 25 to 28 March. On the 28th of March at 7 p.m., the Hyundai allegedly swerved toward Jewish families crossing Hotham Street and Glen Era Road in Riponlia, narrowly missing them. The Hyundai was allegedly stolen from a gym in Caulfield. On the 25th of March, the Hyundai's occupants allegedly shouted anti-Semitic remarks and threw eggs at pedestrians. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian describes the SUV as silver, while ABC and Thij do not specify the SUV's color. Thij states the cyclist was taken to the Alfred Hospital, but ABC and Thij do not mention the hospital name in their summaries. Thij reports the 13-year-old was remanded to appear in children's court, while ABC and Thij do not specify bail conditions for the other two girls beyond bailed. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and The Age. Story 25 of 50. Sydney gym shooting investigation with 3 charged men. Sydney gym shooting investigation with 3 charged men. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A shooting occurred outside a gym on Steer Road, Gregory Hills, Sydney's southwest at 8:30 a.m. on December 5, 2025. 2 masked men in balaclavas fired 12 shots at a 48-year-old man outside the gym. The alleged shooters escaped in a red Range Rover SUV with cloned number plates. The getaway car was found abandoned in bushland near Macquarie Grove Road, Cobbitty. Police recovered clothing, masks, cloned number plates, and 2 pistols from the bushland. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the 2 sources. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 26 of 50. Australian government response to Middle East war fuel crisis and economic impact. Australian government response to Middle East war fuel crisis and economic impact. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese delivered a rare national address to the nation on April 3, 2024, at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, the first since Scott Morrison's COVID-19 address in 2020. The federal government halved the fuel excise from 52.6 cents to 26.3 cents per litre for 3 months, until June 30, 2024, announced on April 1, 2024. The heavy vehicle road user charge was reduced to 0 for 3 months, costing the government approximately $2.55 billion in lost revenue. National Cabinet agreed on a 4-stage fuel security plan, with Australia currently at Stage 2, Keep Australia Moving. Petrol prices in Australia averaged around $2.53 per litre in early April 2024, up from approximately $2.09 when the Middle East conflict began on February 28, 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC both reported that the excise cut would take weeks to fully flow through to consumers, but news.com.au stated that some service stations had already passed on the savings immediately. The Guardian and ABC reported that the excise cut would save a motorist $19 on a 65-litre tank, but news.com.au reported that drivers were skeptical, with one calling it crumbs and expecting prices to remain over $3 per litre. The Guardian and ABC reported that the excise cut was expected to cost the government $2.55 billion, but news.com.au stated that the cost was dependent on demand and could vary. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 27 of 50. Romanian nationals charged for stealing wallets from elderly Queensland shoppers via scam. Romanian nationals charged for stealing wallets from elderly Queensland shoppers via scam. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 3 Romanian nationals, 2 men aged 49 and 42, 1 woman aged 29, were arrested in 8 Mile Plains on the 28th of March, 2024 for allegedly fleecing elderly victims, ages 70 to 94, at Queensland shopping centres using a wallet-dropping scam. $19,000 to $20,000 was seized from a unit complex in 8 Mile Plains during the arrests. Victims were targeted at shopping centres in Kenmore, Chermside, Strathpine, North Lakes, Buddina, Caloundra, and Laidley while using ATMs or paying for groceries. The 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman were charged with multiple counts of fraud, theft, and entering with intent, and both were refused bail. The 42-year-old man was charged with 1 count of theft and bailed to appear in Southport Magistrates Court on the 8th of April, 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. News Khao states the 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman were charged with numerous counts of fraud and stealing without specifying numbers, while ABC provides exact counts, 5 and 8 respectively. News Khao describes the 42-year-old man as only charged with 1 count of stealing, implying no additional charges, though ABC does not contradict this but omits emphasis on exclusivity. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 28 of 50. 9 men arrested for alleged drug smuggling conspiracy via Bass Strait using trawlers and motherships. 9 men arrested for alleged drug smuggling conspiracy via Bass Strait using trawlers and motherships. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 9 men aged between 31 and 72 were arrested in Victoria and Sydney over alleged drug smuggling plans. 8 arrests occurred in Victoria, Morwell, Glenroy, Cranbourne, Cranbourne West, Cranbourne South, Greenvale, and 1 in Sydney, St Clair. The operation, named Operation Bruce Cremorne, involved Victoria Police, Australian Federal Police, and Australian Border Force, ABC, and AFP, Border Force, and ACIC, Guardian. Police became suspicious after a trawler linked to the syndicate sank off Port Albert, Victoria, in May 2023 due to unusual behaviour, bad weather, no commercial fishing equipment. The syndicate allegedly attempted multiple times to rendezvous in Bass Strait with a mothership to receive up to 3.5 tons of cocaine. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC does not mention the 30 kilograms methamphetamine seizure in Perth or the 41 kilograms cocaine seizure in regional Victoria, which The Guardian explicitly reports. The Guardian describes the weather as bad, unspecified, while ABC specifies rough weather for the trawler sinking. ABC names only Victoria Police, AFP, and Border Force as involved in Operation Bruce Cremorne, while The Guardian includes the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission, ACIC, as a participant. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 29 of 50. Australia investigates social media platforms for under-16 age ban compliance violations. Australia investigates social media platforms for under-16 age ban compliance violations. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube are under investigation by Australia's e-Safety Commissioner for potential non-compliance with the under-16 social media ban, announced on or before February 2025. The e-Safety Commissioner's compliance update is scheduled for release on Tuesday, February 2025, detailing alleged failures by platforms to enforce age restrictions. Platforms are accused of allowing underage users to repeatedly attempt age assurance tests until they pass, and failing to prevent banned users from creating new accounts. The maximum fine for systemic non-compliance is $49.5 million Australian dollars per platform, as per Australia's social media minimum age laws. Over 4.7 million accounts were deactivated in the first 2 days after the ban took effect on December 10, 2024, according to eSafety's preliminary analysis. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports that 4.7 million accounts were deactivated in the first 2 days of the ban, but does not provide a breakdown by platform, while The Guardian and News Corp Australia do not specify the exact number of accounts deactivated per platform beyond Meta's 550,000 and Snapchat TikTok's 665,000 combined. The Guardian states that 70% of under-16 users on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok retained access post-ban, while ABC does not provide a specific percentage for these platforms but mentions teething issues and meaningful attempts to remove underage users. ABC mentions that Discord, Google Classroom, WhatsApp, and Roblox are excluded from the ban, but The Guardian and News Corp Australia do not explicitly confirm this exclusion in their articles. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Story 30 of 50. Melbourne Storm forward Tui Kamikamica hospitalised after suspected stroke during NRL season. Melbourne Storm forward Tui Kamikamica hospitalised after suspected stroke during NRL season. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tui Kamikamica suffered a suspected stroke on Monday morning during a medical episode. Kamikamica was discharged from Royal Melbourne Hospital to commence inpatient rehabilitation, Article 1, and is currently in hospital receiving treatment, Articles 2 and 3. Kamikamica played 25 minutes for Melbourne Storm in their 28-24 loss to North Queensland Cowboys on Saturday, 2024. Kamikamica has made 142 appearances for Melbourne Storm since his NRL debut in 2017. Kamikamica captains Fiji at the international level and was part of the Storm's grand final side in 2023. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Kamikamica has been discharged from hospital to commence inpatient rehabilitation, while Articles 2 and 3 state he is currently in hospital receiving treatment. Article 1 mentions Kamikamica played against North Queensland Cowboys in Townsville, while Article 2 mentions he played against the Cowboys in Townsville but does not specify the location of the match, though both agree on the opponent. Article 3 states Kamikamica came off the bench in the loss to North Queensland, while Articles 1 and 2 do not specify his role in the match. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 31 of 50. Man accused of bombing Invasion Day rally may plead insanity defense. Man accused of bombing Invasion Day rally may plead insanity defense. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Liam Alexander Hall, a 32-year-old man, is accused of attempting to bomb an Invasion Day rally in Perth on January 26, 2026, by throwing a homemade fragment bomb filled with ball bearings and nails, or screws, into a crowd of about 2,500 people. The device allegedly did not detonate and was encased in a glass container, or a glass bottle, with liquid, ball bearings, and screws, and was reportedly wrapped in an Elsa-themed sock from the film Frozen. Hall is charged with engaging in a terrorist act, making or possessing explosives under suspicious circumstances, and one count of intent to harm or doing an act which could endanger life, health, or safety. Hall is currently detained at Western Australia's Franklin Centre at Greylands Hospital in Perth's western suburbs, undergoing treatment and awaiting a psychiatric assessment. His lawyer, Simon Freitag, has indicated a potential Section 27, insanity, defense under the Criminal Code Act, requiring an independent psychiatric report. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian describes the device as filled with ball bearings and nails, while ABC and News Corp Australia describe it as filled with ball bearings and screws. The Guardian states Hall's next hearing is on May 27, while News Corp Australia states it is on May 26. The Guardian mentions the device was allegedly designed to explode on impact, but this detail is not explicitly stated in ABC or News Corp Australia. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 32 of 50. Death of Rohingya refugee Nurul Shah Alam abandoned by US border agents ruled homicide. Death of Rohingya refugee Nurul Shah Alam abandoned by US border agents ruled homicide. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nurul Shah Alam, 56, a Rohingya refugee from Myanmar, died on the 24th of February, 2025 in Buffalo, New York, after being left in a Tim Hortons parking lot by US Border Patrol agents on the 19th of February, 2025 at 8:18 p.m. The Erie County Medical Examiner ruled Shah Alam's death a homicide on the 31st of March, 2025, citing complications of a perforated duodenal ulcer precipitated by hypothermia and dehydration as the cause. Shah Alam was visually impaired, unable to speak English, and wore only detention booties when left in sub-freezing temperatures, below freezing in Buffalo. Shah Alam was arrested on the 15th of February, 2025 after entering a residential backyard in Buffalo's Black Rock neighborhood, where he was tasered and charged with felony assault, burglary, and criminal mischief. Shah Alam was released from Erie County custody on the 19th of February, 2025 and transferred to Border Patrol custody before being dropped off at Tim Hortons without notification to his family or attorney. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Shah Alam was dropped off at a closed Tim Hortons, while Article 2 describes it as a closed location but does not explicitly confirm it was Tim Hortons. Only Article 1 names Tim Hortons. Article 1 does not mention Shah Alam's family preparing for Ramadan or their emotional state before his disappearance, while Article 2 details this extensively. Article 1 does not reference Shah Alam's plea deal or the specific charges he was reduced to, while Article 2 states he pleaded guilty to criminal trespass and misdemeanor possession of a weapon. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 33 of 50. Northern Territory custody death and related stabbing incident in Katherine. Northern Territory custody death and related stabbing incident in Katherine. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 19-year-old man died from a serious stab wound in Katherine, NT, on Sunday evening, June 23, 2024. The victim was found in a vehicle at Holse Crescent, Katherine East, around 6:45 p.m. after police initially could not locate him. 2 police officers performed first aid on the deceased before he was taken to Katherine's temporary field hospital. The deceased was pronounced dead shortly after arrival at the field hospital, with the incident classified as a death in custody. An 18-year-old man with stab wounds was found in another vehicle near the field hospital and airlifted to Darwin in a serious but stable condition. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the deceased was found in a vehicle nearby Holse Crescent, while News Khao implies the stabbing occurred on the street in Katherine without specifying the exact location. ABC mentions the NT's third death in custody includes a 26-year-old in Darwin Correctional Centre and a 25-year-old with breathing difficulties in a police vehicle, but News Khao only references the 26-year-old and the 25-year-old's death in custody without specifying the vehicle detail. ABC describes the field hospital as established in response to major flooding, while News Khao states it was set up in preparation for Cyclone Nurul, no mention of flooding. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 34 of 50. Deontay Wilder vs Derek Chisora final fight and Chisora's boxing career end. Deontay Wilder vs Derek Chisora final fight and Chisora's boxing career end. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Derek Chisora fought his 50th and final professional bout against Deontay Wilder on Saturday, June 29, 2024, at the O2 Arena in London. Wilder won the fight via split decision with scores of 115 to 111, 112 to 115, and 115 to 113. Chisora was knocked down once in the 8th round but beat the count and survived to the final bell. Wilder was deducted a point in the 8th round for holding Chisora. Chisora's record entering the fight was 36-14-1, 23 KOs, and Wilder's was the 1st of April, 45, 43 KOs. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Wilder was the WBC champion when Joshua held the WBA, IBF, and WBO belts, but Article 3 does not mention Wilder's championship status at that time. Article 2 claims Wilder was a shell of the fighter he once had been after losing to Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhong in 2024, while Article 1 does not mention Wilder's recent losses to these fighters. Article 1 reports Wilder said "I want you to kill me" to Chisora in 2018, but Article 3 does not reference this quote. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 35 of 50. Tiger Woods Florida DUI arrest and crash aftermath. Tiger Woods Florida DUI arrest and crash aftermath. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tiger Woods was arrested on the 27th of March, 2025 in Martin County, Florida, for DUI after a rollover crash near Jupiter Island. Woods told officers he was looking at his phone and changing the radio station before the crash, which involved his Land Rover clipping a truck and flipping onto its side. Deputy Tatiana Levina arrested Woods after field sobriety tests, stating "I do believe your normal faculties are impaired and you're under arrest for DUI." Woods admitted to taking a few medications earlier in the day, including hydrocodone, Norco, pills found in his pocket during the arrest. Woods refused a urine test but submitted to a breath test that showed no alcohol in his system. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports the crash caused $5,000 in damage to the trailer, while ABC states $7,254 in damage to the truck. The Guardian mentions Woods took Vicodin earlier in the day, But ABC only references hydrocodone pills found in his pocket. ABC states Woods was granted permission to leave the US on the 29th of March, while The Guardian does not specify this date. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 36 of 50. US Vice President JD Vance's comments on UFOs UAPs and his belief in extraterrestrial beings as demons. US Vice President JD Vance's comments on UFOs UAPs and his belief in extraterrestrial beings as demons. Here's what every outlet agrees on. JD Vance appeared on the conservative podcast The Benny Show, released on Saturday, June 2024, discussing his obsession with UFOs and unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs. Vance stated he has not yet reviewed the UAP files that President Trump has promised to release, replying, "I actually haven't," when asked about them. Vance claimed he does not believe in aliens but instead considers them demons, referencing a Christian understanding of supernatural beings. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, registered the domains alien.gov and aliens.gov in May 2024, adding them to the official government website registry. Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that he instructed agencies to begin releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Vance's podcast was released on Saturday, while Article 2 does not specify the exact date but implies it was recent. Article 1 frames Vance's comments as serious and tied to broader political and religious discourse, while Article 2 presents them as satirical and rooted in personal discontent. Article 1 mentions Vance's notable silence about Donald Trump's war in the Middle East, but Article 2 does not reference this context. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 37 of 50. Travel expenses and affordability of Albania compared to other European destinations during summer. Travel expenses and affordability of Albania compared to other European destinations during summer. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Albania is described as Europe's most affordable destination for summer travel by the author in both Thege and SMH articles. The author spent a week in Albania with an Irish friend named Johnny during late northern summer 2023. Exchange rates mentioned: $1 Australian was buying 55 cents and 54 Albanian lek, later updated to 60 cents and 57 lek, in both articles. The author visited Tirana, Vlorë, Gjirokastër, and Sarand during the trip in both articles. The Tirana Marriott Hotel is centrally located within a football field in Tirana, as described in both articles. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources as they are identical in content. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 38 of 50. U.S. Supreme Court hearing on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. U.S. Supreme Court hearing on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump attended oral arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court on February 21, 2024, making him the first sitting president to do so. The Supreme Court heard arguments over whether Trump's executive order could strip birthright citizenship from children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants or temporary residents. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was affirmed by the Supreme Court in United States v. Wong Kim Ark 1898, and has been interpreted as granting birthright citizenship broadly for over 125 years. The Trump administration argues the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" in the 14th Amendment excludes children of undocumented immigrants or those with temporary status. The Migration Policy Institute estimated Trump's order would increase the unauthorized immigrant population by 2.7 million by 2045 and 5.4 million by 2075, based on 255,000 affected births annually. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Trump left the courtroom after the government's arguments concluded, while Article 2 does not specify his departure time but implies he remained for the full session. Article 1 emphasizes that a majority of justices remained skeptical of Trump's efforts, while Article 2 frames it as unclear how many justices might side with Trump without a definitive majority. Article 1 does not mention Trump's public statements about other countries selling citizenships or his stupid court remark, which Article 2 includes. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 39 of 50. Sam Kerr's potential transfer from Chelsea FC to Denver Summit in the NWSL. Sam Kerr's potential transfer from Chelsea FC to Denver Summit in the NWSL. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Sam Kerr is a 32-year-old Matildas captain and Chelsea striker with an expiring contract at season's end. Network 10 reported Kerr has signed with Colorado-based NWSL expansion club Denver Summit after 6 seasons at Chelsea. Kerr posted on Snapchat denying the move. "Don't believe everything you read in the media, man. They know a decision before me." Chelsea retweeted Kerr's Snapchat response through its official X channel. Kerr has scored 110 goals in 153 matches for Chelsea since joining in 2019. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions Kerr's ACL injury return has limited her role under Sonia Bompasta, but ABC does not detail her injury status or playing time. The Guardian states Chelsea's Champions League exit may be Kerr's last chance for a club trophy, while ABC focuses on her recent assist in the second leg without tying it to trophy implications. The Guardian highlights Kerr's reduced role and slow return to fitness this season, but ABC does not mention her injury or fitness concerns. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 40 of 50. Australia's 2026 Daylight Saving Time change ending in April. Australia's 2026 Daylight Saving Time change ending in April. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Daylight saving ends in Australia on April 5, 2026, with clocks moving back 1 hour at 3 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time to 2 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. States observing daylight saving include NSW, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, the ACT, and Norfolk Island. Queensland, Western Australia, the Northern Territory, Christmas Island, and the Cocos, Keeling, Islands do not observe daylight saving. The transition affects over 13% drop in nighttime restaurant and bar spending and nearly 15% decline in public transport trips in the first week after clocks revert, NSW data. Daylight saving was first introduced during World War I to save fuel and became permanent in Tasmania in 1967. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between sources for verifiable factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 41 of 50. Philippines faces severe economic crisis due to oil price surges from Middle East conflict. Philippines faces severe economic crisis due to oil price surges from Middle East conflict. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency on March 27, 2024, as the first country worldwide to do so due to the oil crisis triggered by the Middle East conflict. The Philippines imports nearly all of its crude oil from the Middle East, making it highly vulnerable to global oil price fluctuations. Fuel prices in the Philippines surged by 60%, Guardian, or more than doubled, ABC, since the conflict began, with diesel prices rising from P55 to P130 per litre. Transport workers, including tricycle and jeepney drivers, are the hardest hit, with many earning less than P500 daily, Guardian, and barely covering fuel costs, ABC. President Ferdinand Marcos secured crude oil supplies for domestic processing until June 30, 2024, including a recent shipment from Russia. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports a 60% surge in fuel prices, while ABC states diesel prices more than doubled, from P55 to P130, a 135% increase. The Guardian mentions President Marcos securing crude oil supplies until June 30, 2024, after a March 27 announcement, while ABC does not specify the exact date of the assurance. The Guardian highlights a P500 daily wage for tricycle drivers, whereas ABC focuses on jeepney drivers' struggles without specifying exact earnings. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 42 of 50. US President Trump mocks French President Macron's marriage during Iran war discussion. US President Trump mocks French President Macron's marriage during Iran war discussion. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump made comments about Emmanuel Macron's marriage during a White House lunch on Wednesday, saying Brigitte Macron treats him extremely badly and Macron was still recovering from a right to the jaw. The remarks were made during a discussion about seeking French support for the US-led war against Iran, with Trump mimicking Macron's voice to say Macron replied, "We can do that after the war is won." A viral video from May 2025 showed Brigitte Macron's hand pushing Macron's face as they disembarked from a plane in Vietnam, which Macron later called joking. The White House initially posted a video of Trump's comments on its YouTube channel before removing it. Emmanuel Macron arrived in South Korea on Thursday and called Trump's comments neither elegant nor up to standard. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and The Age both report Trump's comments were made during a White House lunch, but The Guardian specifies it was a private lunch with faith leaders and government figures, while The Age calls it an Easter function. The Guardian states Trump's remarks were about Macron's alleged refusal to send ships after the war is won, but The Age does not explicitly clarify this specific detail beyond Trump's mocking tone. The Guardian includes a direct quote from Macron denying a domestic dispute with his wife, while The Age omits this specific quote. This story was covered by The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 43 of 50. Israel's parliament approves death penalty for Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks. Israel's parliament approves death penalty for Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Israel's parliament passed legislation making the death penalty by hanging the default punishment for West Bank Palestinians convicted of nationalistic killings or acts of terror against Israelis, effective within 30 days, ABC, Guardian 1, Guardian 3. The law applies only to future cases and is not retroactive, sparing Palestinians freed in recent ceasefire deals, ABC, Guardian 3. Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's far-right national security minister, spearheaded the bill and wore a noose-shaped lapel pin during its passage, ABC, Guardian 3. The Association of Civil Rights in Israel filed a petition challenging the law, calling it discriminatory by design and lacking legal authority over West Bank Palestinians, ABC. The UN and European nations, including Britain, France, Germany, and Italy, condemned the law as violating international law and democratic principles, Guardian 3, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 1, describes Israel's prison system as a network of torture camps with over 80 Palestinian deaths in custody since October 2023, while ABC and Guardian, Article 3, do not provide specific death tolls or framing of prison conditions as torture camps. The Guardian, Article 1, argues the law is part of a deliberate, long-term policy of dehumanization and genocide against Palestinians, a claim not explicitly supported or refuted by ABC or Guardian, Article 3. ABC reports that the Shin Bet security agency had previously opposed the death penalty due to fears of provoking revenge attacks, but Guardian, Article 1, does not mention this agency's stance. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 44 of 50. Australia's under-16 social media ban effectiveness and challenges after implementation. Australia's under-16 social media ban effectiveness and challenges after implementation. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia's social media ban for under-16s took effect in February 2024 after a 2-year trial period. Around 70% of children, approximately 2.1 million, remain on major platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat despite the ban. The eSafety Commissioner's report found no notable change in cyberbullying or image-based abuse reported by children post-ban. Facial age estimation technology has higher error rates for children near the 16-year age threshold, with many bypassing checks by being within 2 years of the limit. Over 5 million accounts have been deactivated since the ban's implementation, according to the Australian government. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the ban has been doomed to fail from the outset and is worse than nothing, while Article 2 frames the government's enforcement as potentially leading to big overcorrection with intrusive ID checks, implying some future success. Article 1 claims the government internally acknowledged a lack of evidence before passing the ban, but Article 2 does not reference this internal acknowledgement. Article 1 argues the ban fails to address root problems like algorithmic harm, while Article 2 focuses more on technical failures, e.g., age verification bypasses, without emphasizing systemic issues. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 45 of 50. DNA evidence confirms Ted Bundy's link to 1974 Utah murder of Laura Ann Aime. DNA evidence confirms Ted Bundy's link to 1974 Utah murder of Laura Ann Aime. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Laura Ann Aime, 17, went missing on Halloween night, October 31, 1974, after leaving a party alone to go to a convenience store in Utah. Her body was found about a month later, November-December 1974, on the side of a highway in American Fork Canyon, bound, beaten, and without clothing. Investigators long suspected Ted Bundy was responsible, as he verbally acknowledged culpability during his 1989 execution proceedings. Bundy was studying law at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City at the time of Aime's killing, 1974. New DNA testing in 2024 definitively linked Bundy's DNA to evidence from Aime's case, using advanced technology acquired by the Utah State Crime Lab in 2023. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian does not specify the exact date of the body's discovery beyond about a month later, while ABC states it was found in American Fork Canyon, no date conflict, but ABC adds location precision. No contradictions in core facts, all verifiable details align between sources. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 46 of 50. Jackie Henderson sues ARN Media for $82 million wrongful termination after radio show collapse. Jackie Henderson sues ARN Media for $82 million wrongful termination after radio show collapse. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jackie Henderson filed a legal action against ARN Media in federal court claiming at least $82,250,000 in compensation for wrongful termination of her 10-year contract for the Kyle and Jackie O show on Kiss 1065 Sydney. ARN Media confirmed Henderson's termination followed her sending a complaint letter to CBC, Commonwealth Broadcasting Corporation Party Limited, alleging psychosocial health and safety issues and bullying by Kyle Sandilands on and prior to February 20, 2026. ARN Media disputes Henderson's claims and will defend the proceedings, stating the termination was linked to her exercise of workplace rights under Section 340 of the Fair Work Act 2009, CTH. ARN Media's announcement on March 3, 2026, included misleading and deceptive statements under the Australian consumer law, according to Henderson's lawsuit. The Kyle and Jackie O show ended abruptly in February 2026 after an on-air row between Henderson and Kyle Sandilands, with Sandilands later also suing ARN Media for wrongful termination of his $100 million contract. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources for verifiable factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 47 of 50. Australia's fuel supply crisis amid Middle East conflict and Easter demand surge. Australia's fuel supply crisis amid Middle East conflict and Easter demand surge. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia's fuel reserves as of late March early April include 39 days worth of petrol, 29 days worth of diesel, and 30 days worth of jet fuel, Guardian, ABC, News. Khao. Energy Minister Chris Bowen reported 312 service stations across Australia were without diesel, out of 8,000, with NSW hardest hit, Guardian, ABC. NSW had 150 to 182 service stations without diesel, Guardian, 150, ABC News Khao, 182, down from previous days, Guardian, 182 on Thursday, ABC, 184 on Thursday. More than 50 fuel ships were en route to Australia to replenish supplies, Guardian, News Khao. The federal government halved the fuel excise tax, reducing unleaded petrol prices to the low $2.20s litre in most capital cities, Guardian, News Khao. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian reports 150 NSW stations without diesel, down from 182, while ABC reports 182 stations without diesel, down from 184. Guardian states 48 NSW stations were completely out of fuel, no change from previous day, but ABC says 36 stations were out of fuel, down from 48. News Khao claims 58 WA stations were without unleaded petrol, but this detail is absent from Guardian and ABC. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 48 of 50. Criticism and controversy over Trump's proposed Miami Presidential Library and related political branding. Criticism and controversy over Trump's proposed Miami Presidential Library and related political branding. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump's presidential library is proposed to be a 50-story, Article 1, or 47-story, Article 2, structure in Miami, Florida, with a giant golden statue of Trump in the lobby. The land for the library was controversially gifted to Eric Trump's foundation by Miami-Dade College in 2023, with a federal judge initially blocking the transfer due to lack of public notice, later overturned. The site is valued at over $67 million according to Article 2, and the land was transferred to the state of Florida before being given to Eric Trump's foundation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law renaming Palm Beach International Airport to the President Donald J. Trump International Airport on the same day the library plans were unveiled. The library plans include a replica of Air Force One, gifted to Trump by Qatar, and a recreated Oval Office and White House ballroom. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the library will have 50 stories, while Article 2 claims it will have 47 stories. Article 1 does not mention Trump's statement that the project is likely to be a hotel, while Article 2 directly quotes Trump saying, "I don't believe in building libraries or museums. It's going to be most likely a hotel." Article 1 does not reference the Obama Presidential Center's budget escalating to $850 million or its alleged gentrification impacts, which Article 2 includes. This story was covered by The Guardian. Story 49 of 50. King Charles III state visit to the US amid Iran war tensions and political backlash. King Charles III state visit to the US amid Iran war tensions and political backlash. Here's what every outlet agrees on. King Charles III and Queen Camilla will visit the US as a state visit between April the 27th and 30th, 2025, per both sources. The visit is the first by a British monarch to the US in nearly 20 years, following Queen Elizabeth II's 2007 trip, per both sources. King Charles is expected to address the US Congress during the visit, per both sources. Donald Trump confirmed the visit on Truth Social, stating he greatly respects the king and looks forward to meeting him, per both sources. France, Spain, and Italy have restricted US military airspace or denied landing rights for US warplanes over Iran war operations, per both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Trump called UK aircraft carriers toys and unwanted last week, but The Guardian does not quote this exact criticism. ABC reports Trump's Truth Social post urging the UK to go and get their own oil from the Strait of Hormuz, while The Guardian only mentions contempt without this specific quote. ABC includes the 250th anniversary of American independence as a key event during the visit, but The Guardian does not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 50 of 50. Climate change threatens Australia's superb fairy wren with extinction within decades. Climate change threatens Australia's superb fairy wren with extinction within decades. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The superb fairy wren was voted Australia's favourite bird in 2013 and 2021 Guardian BirdLife Australia polls. Researchers predict the superb fairy wren population at Canberra's Australian National Botanic Gardens could go extinct within 30 to 40 years under intermediate and very high carbon emission scenarios, 2059 to 2062. The study found population extinction is likely to happen very fast within 30 to 40 years in intermediate and very high emission scenarios. The superb fairy wren suffered low breeding success during dry springs and reduced adult survival following unusually warm winters and hot summers. Researchers used nearly 30 years of weekly observations to track the bird's survival impacts from climate change. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the extinction risk is within 30 to 40 years under intermediate and very high emission scenarios, while ABC specifies 2059 to 2062 for extinction under those scenarios. The Guardian mentions optimistic emission scenarios may still pose a high extinction risk within 50 years, but ABC does not explicitly reference optimistic scenarios in its timeline. The Guardian implies the study's data is extrapolated nationally, while ABC clarifies the findings are based on Canberra's botanic gardens and may not apply uniformly across Australia. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian.